So why has this radio taken me more time than any other to review? Well, for the longest time, I couldn't decide if I loved it or I hated it. The good news is I have reconciled with this radio and I'm ready to share my thoughts with you. So, do I love it or do I hate it? Let's find out this time on Digital Rancher. I have been traveling with and testing this Seed Studio SenseCAP Card Tracker T1000-E for about 3.5 months to this point. Now, I do want to disclose that I was provided this device for the sake of a review. So I want to give a thank you to Betty Fan and the folks over at Seed Studio for giving me the opportunity to do a review on their device. Now, with that said, my opinions are my own. I've put a lot of time, really worked with this device to formulate those opinions, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. When I say I've been traveling with this device, I've put some serious miles on it. In the last 15 to 16 weeks, I put over 10,000 air miles and over 3,000 driving miles testing this device. And that doesn't even speak to the hours of just toting the device around the ranch and through my everyday activities. Now, by and large, this device has really performed as expected. I did have a single issue where, when charging the device, it became unresponsive to the Meshtastic app and unresponsive to the membrane button on the front of the device. Now, holding the button while attaching the charger cable did return the device to normal, but it took some trial and error to resolve the issue. I posted about this problem on my Buy Me a Coffee page, and through that post, I learned that others have had the same experience. So if you've got a stuck SenseCAP, check out that post for further details. So let's jump into the review. We're going to start with the pros. These are the things I love about this radio. First is the design and the form factor. It is a slim device, small even. It's about the size of a very thick credit card. It's got a 700 milliamp hour battery, and it's got a very sleek, non-tactical look, which separates it from most other Meshtastic devices straight away. It sports a notification buzzer that I didn't think I would like, but I've really come to appreciate it. It's nice to have this audible notification completely separate from the app. It also has a status LED that gives you some indication of what's going on with the device in various modes. Next, it's IP65 rated. This is a huge advantage when compared to the 3D printed options that are out there. The 6 means it's safe from dust ingress, and the 5 means it's safe from water ingress. So if you get caught in a downpour, no problem. Even if you hit it with the garden hose, no problem. Practically speaking, this means it can stand up to the rigors of everyday carry. Next up is battery life. Now, I have consistently experienced 2+ days of runtime under moderate use, and this is much better than my experience with other personal Meshtastic type devices. My next pro is the inclusion of GPS and other sensors in the base price. In my experience, the GPS has great reception and high precision. I love that they automatically include a temperature sensor and a lux sensor. The device even has a 3-axis accelerometer, though at this point the Meshtastic app can't take advantage of that. My next pro is exceptional receive. It doesn't matter if you're at 30,000 feet in an airplane, walking through a Las Vegas convention center, or driving the interstate highway system. The receive on this radio is fantastic. And finally, the price. The Card Tracker T1000-E is $40. I mean, come on. This is an IP65 rated device. It runs for 2 days. It's got a GPS. Let's throw in some other sensors and we'll charge you $40. This is an outstanding price point compared to other ready-to-go Meshtastic devices that are on the market. Sounds great, right? Oh, I so want to love this radio. First of all, I love companies who are not afraid to innovate, not afraid to, try something new. And this really does represent something different from every other thing in Meshtastic. Second, we don't have many commercially produced injection molded devices in this segment. I mean, this thing's IP65 rated and it's FCC type acceptance compliant. That's awesome. That's amazing. However, unfortunately, there are just a few nagging issues that won't let me be. They just eat at me and eat at me. So here is my list of cons. These are the reasons I hate this radio. The first con is transmit range. And this is really my biggest issue with the radio overall. Now, Seed Studio says that it has a range of between 2 and 5 kilometers or between 1 and 3 miles, but man, I am just not buying it. The transmit performance is nowhere near even those small Heltec devices that a lot of us get started with. The receive performance is exceptional, but the transmit performance will leave you wanting. There are few times when I am able to successfully transmit when in the air or even around my house to the nodes that I communicate with all the time. And these are nodes that I consistently have success communicating with, even with devices with very small antennas. The next con is the form factor. And I know I said that that's a pro, but for as much as I love the form factor, I hate the form factor. I really struggle with how to carry this device. Now, the first thing I tried to do is utilize the slot in the top of the device. I tried multiple lanyards, different webbing that I had around the house, but none of it fit. That slot is too narrow, both in width and in height. You can't get the snaps on the lanyards through that slot, or it's just not wide enough to accommodate at least all the common webbing sizes that I have around the shack. And, I think Seed Studio recognizes this because on their website, they offer a snap hook just to utilize that slot in the device. They'll even give you one for free if you buy 2 of their devices. Also, the device doesn't seem quite as sturdy as it needs to be, at least to be carried in the pocket with the types of things that I carry in my pocket. Not to mention, I've also turned the device off with my keys when having it in the pocket, and well, you can't really hear the buzzer if you're carrying this thing in your pocket. It really seems to be designed and seems to work the best if you're able to hang it. And again, that slot is just problematic. Ultimately, I find myself putting this into something, into a backpack or into a bando pack, some way other than on my person to carry it. The next con is the charging system. Now, the charging system is the same system that's used to flash the device, but we're going to focus on the charging aspect here. The device uses a magnetic pogo pin system, which contributes to the IP65 rating of the device, but it also means that you've got to carry a specialized cable just to charge this device. So I hope you don't lose it when you're out on your adventures, because you're not going to stop at the gas stop and pick one up, and you're not going to borrow one from your buddy unless you're lucky enough that they also have a card tracker as well. But I think you get my point. Now, what this has meant for me is that I've had to be very intentional about how I charge this device. Now, luckily, it does last for 2 days, but in an extended situation, I've had cases where I've just thrown it into my backpack, plugged it into my power bank, and thought I was charging. However, those magnetic pogo pins will disconnect if the device gets jostled within your backpack. So I've had to resort to a few different methods to try to get a more reliable connection. I'll take the excess cable and wrap it around the pogo pin to hopefully keep that in place, or maybe throw a rubber band around the card holding that pin in place, but it has not been reliable. The last con I have is kind of a nitpicky item, and it's with the temperature sensor. In my experience, this sensor is hit or miss. I've had periods of time when it will read 90 degrees when I know the room is 70 degrees. Now, I haven't been able to figure out what's driving that or what may contribute to that, but it's just something I wanted to call out and make you guys aware of. So with these experiences, how did I come to terms with this device? How did I reconcile these issues with my desire for the device to succeed? It's all about use case. Instead of expecting this device to be the perfect Meshtastic device, let's expect it to be the perfect Meshtastic device for a specific use case or circumstance. Or to borrow an engineering concept, let's look for situational perfection. And this is certainly capable of being perfect in certain situations. You just need to play to the device's strengths and manage its weaknesses. The strengths of this device are its battery life and its size. The short transmit range can be managed by focusing on localized group communication. This is a fantastic weekender. With 2 days of battery life, you don't even have to worry about a charging cable. Due to its size, you can just tuck it in just about anywhere. Add the IP65 rating, and now you've got the perfect device for a weekend camping trip, maybe a field day weekend, an off-roading weekend, or maybe hamvention or hamcation. I've also used this on days when I need to go to the office. I slip it into my button-down shirt pocket, and it allows me to discreetly stay connected to the mesh without drawing attention or causing a distraction at work. These are perfect use cases for this device. So you may be wondering, will I be using this device going forward? Absolutely. I'll be taking the card tracker with me for a long weekend to Winter Field Day this coming weekend. I'll also take it on a long adventure to hamcation. Now, I'll be taking some complementary devices with me as well. I'll take along a solar node that has an external antenna with some gain to make sure I've got good coverage over our deployment in our camp. Additionally, I'm going to take another personal type device that's USB-C chargeable. Now that device doesn't have near the battery life that the card tracker has, but it has a much more robust transmitter. So during the day, I'll use that when I'm on the hamcation campus and in and out of buildings. And in the evening, I'll use the card tracker when we're back to camp. Kind of splitting up the radio duty like this gives me a chance to work through the long weekend without even having to worry about recharging the card tracker. I'll just be using it for a few hours in the evening. This approach also provides me a little redundancy, and playing to the strengths and managing the weakness of these various devices ensures that I can communicate through the mesh over the entire course of these events. Well, there's my assessment of the SenseCAP Card Tracker T1000-E. To answer the question that got us started, do I love it or do I hate it? I think it's safe to say I've come to love its situational perfection. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on the various strengths and weaknesses of this device. What attributes matter to you? What do you think of the charging system? Transmit range? Am I being too critical of the form factor? Sound off. All right, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to those comments. Until next time, 7-3.